All right, there it is. I heard the recording start. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shane Caudill. I'm the director of the eVA program. Happy New Year to everyone, and delighted to get our January buyer user group underway. And the non-recorded part of the user group, um, Kim Pritchett kicked us off, kind of introduced everybody. I'll do that again real quick. With me today, Barb Lehman, our PCR director here at DPS, Tony Jordan, my deputy director, and then of course Kim, who is our marketing and outreach coordinator for eVA. So again, delighted to have everybody here for our January user group, and happy New Year. Hope everybody's having a good start to 2024. Our agenda today, and I mentioned right before Kim hit the record button, but I'll mention it again so that it's on this recording as we go through the agenda. A lot of kind of table setting today. No demonstrations today, but some table setting and some updates about where we are and what we're looking at doing into 2024. And one of the first things we're going to do right after I get off this agenda slide is I'm going to turn it back over to Kim. We had an in-person forum. Woo! I hope a lot of you got to go, or at the very least, those sessions were actually still recorded, and you got to see the recorded forum sessions. But Kim's going to come on and do a couple slides of forum follow-up for us and just kind of talk about some things that happened when we were in person and some follow-up to that, and some things we're going to be doing in 2024. I'm going to come back on. We're going to kind of get you updated on our high priority issues, where we're at, go over our production releases, and look at some next up issues and enhancements, and really, again, give you that view into 2024. And then we have one little wrap up slide at the end where I'll bring Kim back on. She talked a lot about this in the non-recorded portion as we're bringing people on and greeting people, but it'll give her a chance to kind of summarize some of that stuff right at the very end. So with that, I've got one slide that I'll talk about very briefly before I turn it over to the forum follow-up, but it's a slide that we've been leaving in the user group meetings a lot here lately. It's kind of a release management linking area. So when this session is recorded and posted over to the eVA website, if you want to get to these two areas, you'll have the links there and that information. So two of them, particularly for you new guys, our release management. So we're doing monthly releases pretty much at this point. They're really coming in every 3 to 4 weeks, but the way things are lining up, it's pretty much on a monthly basis at this point. And then an area for eVA tips, which are kind of coming from our leads over here on the eVA team, and some really neat things, really quick hit stuff that are helpful to both the buying and supplier community on little tips and tricks on using the eVA system. One thing I do want to mention, we having a little software issue with our update software, and that is causing us, we haven't updated the website in probably about 2 weeks, something like that. So hopefully we'll resolve that soon. We've got some great stuff that's coming, including the copy of this user group meeting to get that posted. We've got release notes going back to December that need to get posted. There's some new quick reference guides coming. We'll talk about those in just a sec. So all sorts of good stuff. Oh, the training schedule, that's the other thing, but we'll talk about all that stuff here in just a minute. But all sorts of new stuff that's coming on. So hopefully we'll get that software issue resolved and be able to do those updates. But with that being said, and leaving those two links here in the recorded meeting and on the presentation so that you guys can get to them, I'm going to turn it back over to Kim very quickly for a Forum 2023 follow-up. Oh, and you're on mute, Kim.
I was definitely trying to unmute myself. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We know that not everybody is able to make it to in-person forum this year. We met a lot of new folks and we got a lot of great feedback. So for those that didn't attend, we did have 2 in-person buyer user groups. And we used that time to focus on getting feedback about communications, how we communicate with you, how you like to be communicated to, what forms of contact you like to receive. So email, postings on the website, direct messages, that type of thing. And we talk also about training, what your training needs are. And Tony, and I'm putting him on the spot a little bit. We're welcoming him back after being out of the office last week. And so he's coming back in, kind of stepping back in for the first time. So Tony, if you want to jump in on any of this at any point, let me know. You're welcome to come on camera and unmute yourself as well. And what we found during the user group that we held in person in November, and there should be a playback of that available on the LMS, which is the Learning Management System, Absorb, which is managed through VIP, Virginia Institute of Procurement. So you should be able to find not just our eVA sessions, but all of the sessions that were available during forum. So if you go out and you replay that, or you attended in person, what we heard backed up what we were already marching towards, which was taking some of our quick reference guides and putting them into more bite-size, consumable types of guides. So very specific on topic. If you received the eVA Extra in December, this was absolutely covered in that eVA Extra that went out. And as a buyer user group member, you should have received that communication talking about our contract module having multiple QRGs now broken out by topic that we've created. These are in the final phase of being completed. And again, once we have the capability to update those completely, get them finalized and onto our website, we're hoping in next month that we'll be able to get those up. So creating, amending, renewing, terminating, and expenditures, they'll all be specific QRGs now available. Something else we also heard related to training is that we want to support our suppliers. You want us to help you support your suppliers. And one of the ways that we can do that is by creating guides that don't exist currently. So there absolutely is a need for a quick reference guide with steps for how a supplier responds to an informal bid, dubbed quick quote. So that's why you'll see how to respond to a QQ, and then also a version of that with how to respond to an IFB. We're also looking at if there's a need for how to respond to an RFP, knowing that the instructions for responding to an RFP are often in the solicitation document, and that those are written proposals, but there may be circumstances where they need to upload information or they need to utilize the tools within their account, and we want to be able to support the suppliers from that perspective as well. Is there a next slide? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So the other thing that we heard is that you might need fact sheets about our different tools. So we have our local government account executives that really are our salespeople. They're the ones out there talking to our local government users, potential users, about the different components of the platform and how they can be utilized to help make purchasing easier. And these different modules, P2P, which is where you have your requisitions, orders, receivings, receipts, and then returns, and then sourcing, and then contracts. So breaking out some fact sheets that we can make available on our website. And then also we have our virtual instructor led, built, VILT, and those are led by our leads for our eVA program. That's going to be P2P, sourcing, and contracts. So that additional training will start up again in February. Again, it is through VIP's LMS. So you need to be able to access the LMS system to access the schedule and be able to sign up for one of these virtual instructor-led courses. And then, of course, we have ongoing, and if you're not aware, and I say of course, because I'm the one that's in charge of it, maybe you don't know, maybe you're hearing this for the first time, that we do offer a weekly virtual how to settle the Commonwealth workshop for suppliers. So this is where that and as well as the tips, I'm just going to take you on the website real quick. And I'm going to show you on the eVA website where you can find this outreach calendar for our suppliers. So if you're not familiar, I do a weekly virtual workshop. It's very high level. It's an introduction, how to sell to Virginia, and it's about an hour and a half. And we just kind of talk through the high level, how it all works in Virginia, small purchases, what that means, large purchases, and how the eVA platform supports all of the purchasing in the Commonwealth. And then we take it a step further by offering a hands-on workshop. It's virtual, but what it does is it allows me to take anyone who attends on a guided tour of the website, talk through the public posting and the resources available there, talk about our publicly posted contract information that's something relatively new. And then we also talk about how to access orders and historic order information. So these workshops typically are occurring on a Wednesday, and the dates are available all the way through the end of May. So if you have a supplier that is brand spanking new and they need to kind of get that elevator pitch, kind of the overview, how it all works in the Commonwealth, they can come to one of the supplier outreach events. For our buyers, the buyer tips that Shane mentioned are available on the buyer training page. Our quick reference guides are under eVA guides, and then our buyer tips are located. And again, once we have that ability to update this page, we will be adding those additional tips. We're also looking, again, feedback from you from the forum on ways to automate a message to you that says, hey, there's a new tip that's just been posted on the website. So we heard you with that feedback as well. So Shane, I'm going to let you go ahead and start sharing your presentation again.
All righty. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. And then Tony, I'm going to just give you an opportunity if there's anything that I left out or forgot. Or I could have.
I didn't catch anything there. It sounds like you got it all. You were very thorough. As always. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. All right. I'm going to turn it back over to Shane.
All right. I'm going to get my sharing going again here. If I can find my presentation. Hang on, let me.
And you should just be able to go to share screen, and then it should pop up as one of your available options.
Yeah, you'd think.
Oh, I may have thrown a wrench in that.
No. I can share. It's just it's not the presentation mode is there. It is. I just had to find it again. There we go.
Silly Zoom.
There we go. All right, back. All right, thank you, Kim. Great information, and again, a little follow-up from the forum and some table setting for 2024 in all sorts of great ways.
Oh, and I forgot. I forgot the survey.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I right here, survey, print needs. That was a huge thing. How could I possibly forget? I'm so sorry. So we absolutely heard that there is a need in certain circumstances that you need to print. You need to print. You need to be print friendly. There's a lot of conversation about print. So we have put together a very brief 5-question survey about your print preferences so that we can better understand what your needs are, so that we can figure out how best to support you. So that survey is coming. So I just wanted to mention, keep an eye out for a email. It again will come through Constant Contact, and it will have a link to a SurveyMonkey link. I know we're all very cautious about clicking on links, especially in this day and age. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And I hope that we'll also have the ability to potentially have it posted on the website as well. So that is definitely coming. And thank you again for that feedback that you shared.
I'll chime in on that too. It's a very short survey. I think it's 5 questions. It'll take you less than 3 minutes to do. So please, just take the time to go in and do it, because we really enjoy getting that feedback from you to help us going forward.
And again, it's coming soon. So we're
Yeah, we're
saying like
thinking,
next, like February.
yeah, we're thinking we're going to issue that survey the first part of February. That'll give us a chance to look at it. Our next user group meeting is going to be in March. We are going back to more of a bi-monthly schedule with our user group meetings, but you'll get that survey. That'll give us a chance to look at the data, see, kind of what your feedback is, and then we'll talk about in March, amongst some other things I'm getting ready to talk about, what we saw in the survey data. And then talk about, how eVA can help or how we can help in general with those needs. So good stuff. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Tony, for that. So keep your eyes open for that. Shifting gears, let's get into some additional table setting, very specific to eVA for 2024 and potentially beyond, but certainly in 2024. And these are our high priority issues. If you've been with us for user group meetings, and/or you've looked at some of the archived user group meetings that are available on the website, we've been tracking these high priority issues for several months. Had some good news there right before the holidays for our entities that use our queue management functionality in eVA. We added in some additional oversight and screens and dashboards and things just to make the management of the queue a lot easier. Those changes went in again right before the holidays, kind of in mid-December. There are some additional updates coming in that we found some things we wanted to tweak. Just like anything with software, once you get it into production, then you really begin to learn about the goods and the bads and everything about it. So some additional tweaks are coming in January and February to improve that. But again, very excited to get that launched. For those of you that are integration agencies and you do purchase order integration, there's been an ongoing high priority issue that we were looking to get resolved, where if the financial ERP denied the purchase order, you couldn't get that requisition back into composing to make the changes and reintegrate that transaction. That fix is coming in here at the end of January, the night of January 25th. I'm sorry to say that there is still some issues for those of you that your financial system is Banner. Banner does have a struggle with this particular fix on an original purchase order. Joel Paddo from our DGS ISS team has done some outreach. Your leadership should be aware of this change, particularly around this integration fix, but excited to get this fix in here at the end of January. If you've been following us, we're also looking to add in some additional requisition approval logic. If you're kind of looking at a requisition approval flow, it would actually happen after queue management. For those of you that don't use queue management, not sure that you're actually going to need this additional logic, but certainly gives you some options at the end. But again, it's just an additional area where we can do some entity rules and customizations for you. We're looking at that for April timeframe to get that in. And then I know this has been dragging for a while. We have a Logi ad hoc reporting tool where if you're using our reporting tool and you have the skill set, you can build your own reports. Those reports and some of those tables are still missing some of the new fields and new data that had come in as part of the transition to our new platform. And right now we've got that tentatively scheduled for February to get Logi ad hoc finally up on its feet and updated. Continuing with some high priority things that we're tracking. Speaking of Forum, if we heard anything about Forum and Kim and Tony kind of rehashing from a user group perspective, some of the training and documentation and outreach needs you guys needed. This was maybe outside of some questions about printing transactions in eVA. This was probably the top item, particularly for your end user community, your requisitioning community, the ability in a punch out transaction to return to the supplier's shopping cart and make changes. Right now, really kind of an ugly situation. You go out, you get on the supplier site, you get items added to the cart, you pull them back into eVA, and then you're like, oh, I made a mistake. I need to add something. I need to, put a new line in there. You can't return back to the cart and make those additions. You actually either have to cancel the order and start from scratch, or do a separate order to add the lines you missed. It's a real pain, and it was supported in our legacy environment and our the old eVA platform, and that is something we are really pushing very, 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 very hard for in our new platform. I don't have a schedule for you yet, but we're leaving that on the high priority issues list because it's really something we desperately, desperately want to get resolved. It's a huge usability issue, and we heard you at the forum. Anytime we ask for questions, in particularly around the buyer user group and requisition and P2P sessions, we heard this one. So this is a big one for us. The next one, I did a session. Joel Paddo joined me. Mark Orlando from CGI joined me. I was kind of the host of the session that we did, where we talked about procure to pay transparency reporting, which is the bottom, the third big bullet point on this screen. And then kind of that second bullet point there in the middle, electronic invoicing. We did a session about both of these topics at the forum. The forum session recording is available. If you're like, what the heck is this? I'd like to know. Through DGS, DPS, the Virginia Institute of Procurement, the VIP team, they have information about how to access these recorded sessions from the forum. But if you're interested in what's going on with electronic invoice and what's going on with purchase order to pay transparency reporting, go check out that session. But sharing with you as a user group team, if all goes well, and at this point, I'm expecting it to, our user group that we're going to hold in March, I'll be able to do a demo of the electronic invoicing functionality in that March user group. So mark your calendars. That's very exciting. This is a brand new module for us. We think it's easy. We think it's very simple to use. Gives you a lot of options. And we're a lot of efficiencies, and we're very excited to show that to you. In the March timeframe right now, we're looking at a May production release. So that would be the end of May production release for that. So more to come on that, but definitely an exciting advance for eVA. And then purchase order to pay transparency reporting. Again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, there are sessions available where you can see more of that. But basically, in short, what this report does for you is it takes your rec, your PO, your receipt, and matches that up with the voucher and check information from your financial systems. Very exciting stuff. DGS and Vita are actually live. And I know that Joel Paddo and DGS ISS and his team are doing agency outreach and walking people through what it takes to provide data so that your entity, your agency can use this report. So we're very excited about that as well. And that is ongoing, and we'll continue to track that one as well. So moving on, kind of those are some high priority issues and some things where we've got some dates on them and exciting things that are coming. Some next up issues and some things that we'd like to get scheduled over the next couple months. And get some things in to hopefully improve your experience in the eVA system. So some of those are receiving on negative line items. If you're keying in rebates and discounts into eVA, and then along with receiving, got a couple receiving ones here. As you'll notice, your ability to change the method of receiving. And what I mean by that, if you get a PO and you need to go out and receive against that PO because your goods have come in and you decide to receive by quantity, and then you're like, oh no, I actually needed to receive by amount. There's no way to switch out of that once you make that first decision. Even if you back all the receiving out, even if you back it all out and try to start again, the eVA just doesn't let you change that method of receiving once you've made that decision. So that's something we're tracking and we'd like to get working for you. And then we're calling it lovingly receiving and returns guardrails. There are a few more protections that we'd like to put in for you guys. So that you're warned if a draft is created. You're warned if you try to create a receipt and everything's fully received. Just a couple little checks and balances out there to hopefully improve usability for you and your end users, and then to make sure we don't get in ditches when we're doing receiving and returns. If we've seen since the initial go live, when everybody was just kind of learning about the new environment and how to use it. Receiving is the one that we get stuck in the ditch on the most with our end users. We probably see the most tickets, the most questions into our team from a technical perspective about receiving and returns. So we're hoping to put in a few of these guardrails to help you guys and make receiving more usable. Big thanks to Tony for helping out with that. And also, if you didn't get a chance to meet her at the forum, Miranda Bowling, who is our P2P lead here on the team. So Miranda and Tony put a lot of those notes together, and we'll be looking to push those forward in the not too distant future. The other thing, when a user leaves employment with your entity, agency, university, local government, and you put them in a disabled status, or they maybe even block their account because they they put the wrong password in, or something happens to their account where they're blocked, deleted, disabled, but they have done transactions for you, for your entity in eVA. The transactions don't go away, but their name, their username, when you're trying to filter through potentially hundreds, potentially thousands of transactions, it doesn't allow you from a filtering perspective to pull up that user if they're blocked, deleted, disabled. So, you have somebody that worked for you for 20 years, 30 years, they retire, they've done thousands of transactions, and then they retire, we disable their account, and then you can't use that person's name to search for their transactions. So again, the transactions are there. It just makes searching for them more difficult. So we're hoping to get that fixed for you guys as well. Continuing down this path of some next up issues we're looking to get resolved for you guys. This is a big one, and I hope we see a lot of good progress on analytics throughout 2024. But analytics, and the first one really is in the requisition area, and the ability to do aging, cycle time, things like that around the requisition, so that you, from a procurement leadership perspective, can look holistically at your organization. How long is it taking for requisitions to be approved? And then being able to drill down to more details, maybe by user, maybe by, organization or department, maybe even by things like dollar values and commodities and things like that, to be able to do a little bit of analysis, identify your bottlenecks, and potentially even improve your customized workflow if you need to make any improvements, based on the type of data you're seeing, or at the very least, being able to address, certain areas to, speed up the approval and the purchasing cycle and process. So that's a big one we're looking at as well. The second bullet there, I'll read it out and then kind of describe what it means. We have a set of suppliers who, and I think it's like in the 50s, let's say, just for argument's sake, that are get their orders automatically delivered from eVA into their back-end order entry system. So every supplier that gets created in eVA gets a supplier account, and their orders go to that account. And then they get an email notice, and that's kind of a basic, like, hey, you have an order, and you can log into the supplier side in eVA and retrieve those purchase orders. We definitely have a set of more complex suppliers. They tend to be punch-out suppliers as well, although not always. That, again, take that order, that eVA order, extract it from eVA, and it gets into CXML as the delivery method, and they load it right into their order entry systems. Well, right now, we're having some issues where those suppliers, they're treating every order like a new order. So even if it's a change order, even if it's a cancellation, On their end, there is trust me, it's in there. There's a tag in the CXML that tells you the type of order, if it's new, a change, or a cancellation. But the programming hasn't been done on their side to read that CXML tag. But we want to give them the ability to customize their notifications and delivery within their eVA supplier account to control that CXML coming out. So for new orders, they would go right to the supplier's order entry system. For change orders and cancellations, this would give the supplier the ability to configure those differently, and maybe they're not sending those via CXML and they're having a customer service rep go into eVA and pull changes and cancellations separately. Why we're doing this, our old legacy environment had this ability, and we think this should add in or help, that's probably the word I should have used there, in reducing duplicate order delivery due to change orders and cancellations. We know, we've heard you, there are definitely some suppliers, and we do direct outreach to these guys to tell them, they're getting themselves in a ditch, but every couple of weeks, sometimes every day, we're hearing, hey, I was doing a change order, I was doing a cancellation, they reshipped the whole order. And 99.9% of the time, it's these CXML suppliers, and they're just, they're not paying attention to the type of order in the CXML. So we're hoping this is going to help with that. The third bullet there, P-card indicator warning message default something. We're not quite sure what we want to do yet, but this is on the requisition on the buying side. We are very much in support of the DOA P-card program, and if we've got an order under $10,000 and the supplier takes a P-card and we have a user in eVA who has a P-card, we should be using the P-card to pay for that purchase. Our old legacy environment, again, had the ability where the P-card would default. And in this case, we know in our new system, when you create a rec, you got to go to that left-hand menu, click the P-card link there and make sure each time you've got that P-card applied to that requisition so that it can be applied to the order. So a couple things around that. Is it some sort of indicator? Is it a warning? Are we going to be defaulting the P-card with logic like we did in our legacy system? Not quite sure how we're going to attack that, but we certainly want to get a solution together to give your end users a fighting chance so that they use the P-card when it's appropriate. So again, getting something going in that regard. And then another one there, the last bullet point to kind of point out to you guys, and this is really around approving. And we've got a couple things we want to do, but one that really stood out to me is some sort of attachment indicator. Is it a paper clip? Is it a star? Is it something that lets me know on an individual line item when I'm doing an approval that I've got an attachment? That allows your approvers to very quickly identify a requisition line item that I've got an attachment attached to the line. Right now, if you do a 25-line requisition and you put an attachment on line 12, it's very difficult for your approver. They got to literally check every line to find that attachment. So absolutely something there to help our approvers. So those couple of slides there are just kind of giving you some highlights on some things we're focused on. And as the weeks and months go on and as our user groups go on, we'll be getting some dates on these things and some release information, and we'll be very excited to roll some of this stuff out to you guys. So appreciate your patience, and I hope you're excited to see some of these things coming your way in 2024. Continuing on here, as we've got about 15 minutes left, and I think we're good on time, but I want to make sure we're get a chance to talk about these next just couple of slides before I've got one more slide that I'll flip it back over to Kim right after this one. Release highlights in January. We do have a release coming in. It'll be the night of January 25th, which is a Thursday night, which is this Thursday. So we'll do that migration overnight, and then Friday morning, you'll see these changes. We've got some very simple there at the top. And again, these are just highlights. We've got a whole lot of stuff going on. These are the highlights. Contract header label, for those of you that use the contract module, updated from authorized entity to oh gosh, I spelled that wrong. Contracting entity. I promise you, we spelled that right in eVA. I did not spell it right when I built these slides. So again, that we'll leave that little funny spelling mistake there. I promise you in eVA, it's spelled correctly. But again, we're changing the contract header label from authorized entity to contracting entity. That's just a usability thing to make it very clear. And when we say contracting entity, that is the agency entity that issued the contract. All right. There's an authorized users section on a contract, which lets you determine who can use a contract. But the contracting entity is the contract owner. Okay. And it said authorized entity, and that was just confusing people. So we made just a little label change there to make that more clear. The other one there, that second bullet point, denied PO integration fix. We had mentioned that earlier, but again, that's coming in the night of the 25th. And then one more I wanted to point out, just again, a usability. We're going to make sure it's very clearly displayed on the sourcing project, but the publish date and time will be displayed on the sourcing project. So you know when you're issuing a solicitation, the publish date and time that went out to the public posting board. So again, that is kind of our table setting here for 2024. I got some great things that I hope are exciting for you guys as we look into 2024. And then I've got one more slide that I'm going to bring Kim back on for to kind of wrap us up and send us on our way on a Tuesday. So Kim, wrap up and reminders here for you.
All right. So again, just reminding you guys, the goal of our user group, if you're joining us for the first time or you're a veteran, is to inform you about what Shane just did, kind of what's coming, what we fixed, what we have on the horizon, and when we have the opportunity to demo new features. So in the next buyer user group, and we will put this up on the website, but if you want to jot it down and save the date, it's going to be March 12th. He's hoping that we will potentially have a demo for you that we can do at that user group and be giving you updates about, again, progress on the things that he's mentioned and what's coming. In between, in February, we are going to have an eVA Extra that goes out. And our goal is going to be that we will have eVA Extras on the off months when we don't have an actual user group. And right now we are planning for this year to have a user group every other month with our extras in between, and then to be back in person at Forum for in-person buyer user group at the end of the year. So for February, we'll be updating you about our VILT training sessions and letting you know those dates. I know that we got a question about when do those classes actually start in February. And if one of my co-hosts has a specific date, I would love to share that information. Otherwise, I'm going to have to point you to the LMS because that schedule will be up soon. And again, we will go over about the survey, reminding you that that print survey is going out, and we'll keep you updated about when the new QRGs get posted, knowing that we have some limitations right now with the website. And then if you need help or you have an issue, we're going to continue to ask you to contact eVA customer care, and we absolutely want to get you the right assistance. So we are still utilizing the help forum along with things that take priority because it's more urgent, having that direct number. And Tony, I know you wanted to jump in. So
yeah, just with the VILTs, just keep your eye open for the email from the learning management system. I think they're sending out an email shortly with the new VILT schedule on there and when to sign up. If you have to or need to or want to, you can always email them at absorb@dgs.virginia.gov.
And I have the calendar up.
You do have it? Okay.
I know it's not posted yet, so sorry that it's not posted, but the first session, February 6th, 7th, and 8th. On the 6th, we're doing catalogs On the 7th, we're doing requisitions and orders on the 8th. So catalog, requisitions, and orders on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Sourcing will be February 14th, and contracts will be February 15th.
Thank you so much. And if you want to stop sharing your screen, we can go back with
There we
all
go.
of us.
I can do that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we do have just a few lingering questions. Tony, I know, is tackling a lot of that. So thank you, Tony, for jumping in. There's a lot of questions that are specific to users, which again, we can absolutely assist you one-on-one by filling out that buyer assistance form so that we can get one of our customer care specialists or one of our team members to follow up with you directly to give you that one-on-one support, because there are some questions about advanced shipping notice for suppliers, and they create that draft receipt, and whether or not that draft receipt created by the advanced shipping notice by the supplier, if it can be deleted. And I haven't tested that personally, but draft receipts should be able to be deleted regardless of who created
Yeah, but when it
them.
comes over to an advanced shipping notice, I think there's something about you can't, I know we have a ticket in there with some of that stuff. I don't have it right in front of me, but
And
we may not be able to delete those right now.
okay. So Mary, we are definitely going to maybe take that as a follow-up that
Yeah, there
we need
is
to
a
look
ticket
at.
entered for that. I
Okay.
know there's some nuance to the advanced shipping notices, which is basically just somebody creating a draft receipt for you on the supplier side. So yeah,
And
we can follow up on that one.
And if that is going to cause you issues, my workaround suggestion, if you have suppliers that are creating an advanced shipping notice and you don't want them to do that, please just communicate that to them. Make sure that when they receive the order, make sure that you reach out to them directly and say, please do not create that advanced shipping notice. They think they're being helpful, but it might cause you more issues. And then someone was asking, is it possible to get an email notification when a requisition is fully approved? And you should get that email notification as the buyer that an order has been created. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I was like, you were looking.
Yes. It took me a minute to I had to think through that
I
one.
was like, yes, you should.
I
And
had
there should be
I had
a
just addressed
history.
it with somebody else on there. I would say contact your account executive so they can take a look and see if there's
Okay.
something wrong. And then if it's a technical issue, they can advance it up to the eVA team and we can take a look at that and see if there's something odd happening.
Yes, and
So,
that was exactly where I was going with that. So thank you guys for jumping in, because and there is a history. So if you go in, you should be able to also expand
Yeah, I'm
under
looking at,
the approvals and see that history of that email that was sent.
yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, I'm looking at one that nothing went back to the buyer on. So we'll check on that one too.
And again, Diana, if
Feedback.
you're having a specific issue, make sure you reach out to your account executive and or eVA customer care so that we can get you that assistance.
Yeah, you should get an email notice though, from what I'm seeing here. So yeah, you absolutely should.
Great stuff. And then there was just a comment about wanting to be able to utilize a new naming convention, portfolio division, contract number, vendor name, short description. So we can take that as a takeaway item. And the advanced shipping, and thank you. There's a couple feedback items about the advanced shipping notice. Some people love that because then they know that the items are in transit.
Correct.
It works different for everybody. Remember that this functionality that exists doesn't have to be used, and some people love certain aspects of it, and then other aspects may cause you issues. So just make sure you're communicating with your supplier what works best for you and your organization. So thank you guys for that feedback. And we're winding down to the last 5 minutes. Lots of great information shared Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you, Tony and Barb, for working behind the scenes, answering some of those questions that we
And
had.
I can answer about the advanced shipping notices. Users are unable to discard and delete the draft advanced shipping notice. It just kind of sits there, which
So
is annoying. I'm type A. That would annoy the crap out of me. So we do have a ticket in for that. We are tracking that. So the workaround is just ignore it. Just do your own, you can do your own receipt if you don't want to use the supplier's receipt. So,
And then we also had, again, this suggestion about adding the attachments to the body of the requisition instead of the line item.
say that again. I'm sorry.
About adding attachments to the body of the requisition
The
instead of
header.
the line. Yeah, instead of the line
Yes.
item.
Yes.
Yeah, we have that note. So thank you so much. And somebody said, yes, a bunch of exclamation points. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed our first user group for 2024. And thank you so much for your time, attention, attendance, and your interaction. We appreciate you staying involved and attending these user groups and sharing your feedback and being interactive with us. Keep an eye out for the eVA Extra in February. Keep an eye out for a playback of this meeting coming to you through Constant Contact via email, and then mark on your calendar to save the date for March the 12th for our next bug meeting that we will have. And as always, the invitation to register so that you can attend today's meeting comes out about a week ahead of that date. So look for that at the beginning of March. Thank you guys so much. And all the thank yous and everything in the comments. And thank you to my lovely co-hosts today. You guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.